Most people think the AI race is about building one giant model that beats everything else. One model to answer every question, one model to write every piece of code, one model to understand every image, one model to run every agent, one model to rule your entire workflow. But Nvidia just pointed at a different future. Not one model. Many models, smaller models, open models, specialized models, models chosen dynamically based on cost, speed, privacy, quality, and the task you're actually trying to complete. Nvidia released Nemotron 3.5 Lightning, a compact open model, and alongside it, an open source routing tool called NeMo Switchyard. And the routing tool might be the more important part, because the real future of AI may not be everyone blindly sending every prompt to the biggest possible model. It may be systems that automatically decide this request can run locally, this one needs a faster small model, this one needs a private internal model, this one needs a powerful frontier model, this one should never leave the company network. That is a completely different way to think about AI. So in this video, we are going to talk about why NVIDIA's new release matters, why smaller models are becoming more important, what model routing actually means, and why the best AI setup may soon look less like a single chatbot and more like an intelligent switchboard. The current AI workflow is often incredibly wasteful. You take a task, you send it to the best model you have access to, and you hope the answer is good. That sounds reasonable, but think about how strange that is. If you ask an AI to rename a variable, summarize a short email, classify a support ticket, or extract a date from a paragraph, do you really need the most expensive model in the world? Probably not. But many workflows do exactly that. They use a massive model for tiny tasks. They pay premium prices for simple transformations. They send sensitive prompts to external APIs when a local model would have been fine. They tolerate slow responses when a smaller model could respond instantly, and they burn compute because their system has no good way to choose. That is the problem model routing tries to solve. Instead of treating AI like a single brain, you treat it like a fleet. Different models have different strengths. Some are cheap, some are fast, some are private, some are better at coding, some are better at reasoning, some are small enough to run locally, some are large enough to handle difficult tasks. The trick is not always picking the biggest model, the trick is picking the right model. NVIDIA's release has two important pieces. The first is Nemotron 3.5 Lightning. This is an open model aimed at being more efficient and practical than a huge frontier system. The exact benchmarks will matter less to most users than the direction. NVIDIA is putting more weight behind compact, capable, open AI models. The second piece is NeMo Switchyard. Switchyard is an open source routing library. Instead of building an application around one fixed model, Switchyard is designed to help route requests across different models based on what the request needs. That can mean optimizing for quality, it can mean optimizing for latency, it can mean optimizing for cost, it can mean protecting sensitive information, and this is where the release becomes much more interesting than just another model drop. Because if routing becomes normal, then AI systems become much more flexible. You're not locked into one model, you're not locked into one provider. You can mix local models, open models, private models, and cloud models. You can use cheap models for simple work and expensive models for hard work. You can keep sensitive tasks inside your own environment, and you can change the routing rules as models improve. That is a very practical vision of AI, less hype, more infrastructure. For a long time, the story of AI was bigger is better, more parameters, more data, more compute, more GPUs, more context, more everything. And to be fair, that worked. Scaling gave us much better models. But the bigger is better mindset has a problem. Most tasks are not frontier tasks. Most AI usage is mundane. Answer this email, extract this field, summarize this document, classify this request, rewrite this paragraph, suggest a function name, find the relevant file, turn this messy note into a checklist. Those tasks do not always require the largest model. And when you use the largest model anyway, you pay for intelligence you did not need. Smaller models matter because they make AI cheaper, faster, and easier to deploy. They can run closer to the user, they can run on local hardware, they can be specialized for a domain, they can be duplicated across environments, they can be used at scale without making every request feel financially painful. This is especially important for companies. At small scale, AI costs can look manageable. At company scale, every little task becomes a bill. If hundreds or thousands of employees use AI all day, the difference between routing simple tasks to a small model and sending everything to a premium model can become enormous. That is why companies are paying attention. Not because smaller models are always better, but because smaller models are often enough, and often enough is a very big deal. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this. Now back to the video. One of the most underrated parts of model routing is privacy. People usually talk about privacy as a yes or no question. Is this AI private? Is this model safe? Is this provider trusted? But in real workflows, privacy is more nuanced. Some prompts are harmless, some prompts are sensitive. Some prompts contain customer data, some prompts contain source code, some prompts contain legal documents, some prompts contain internal strategy, some prompts should never leave a controlled environment. A smart AI system should treat those prompts differently. If the task contains sensitive corporate data, maybe it should route to an internal model. If the task is generic, maybe it can use a cheaper cloud model. If the task is simple, maybe it can run locally. If the task is genuinely hard, maybe it can escalate to a frontier model after stripping sensitive context. That is the kind of system companies actually need, not one giant chatbot where every request follows the same path. A policy-aware routing layer. This is why any NeMo Switchyard is interesting. The routing layer is where cost, latency, security, and quality can all meet. And that is probably how serious AI products are going to be built. Single model thinking is simple. Pick a model, build your app around it, hope it stays available, hope the price stays reasonable, hope the provider does not change the terms, hope a better model does not come out next week, hope the model handles every task well enough. That approach is starting to look fragile. Models change too quickly. Prices change too quickly. Capabilities change too quickly. Regulations change. Safety policies change. Provider access changes. Open models appear. Closed models improve. Local models get faster. And suddenly the best model for a workflow in January may not be the best model in August. Routing gives you more flexibility. Instead of hard coding your entire product around one model, you build a layer that can make decisions. That layer can evolve. It can send coding tasks to one model, math tasks to another, private data to a local model. High-risk work to a reviewed internal model. Creative writing to a model that handles tone better. Short tasks to a cheap model. Complex tasks to a more expensive one that is not just more efficient, it is more resilient. Local AI fits naturally into this routing future. In the old model, local AI had to compete directly with the best cloud model. That was a tough fight. If someone asked, is this local model better than Claude or GPT-5 or Gemini? The answer was usually no. But routing changes the question. The question becomes, what tasks should be local? That is a much better question for local AI. Maybe the local model handles private notes. Maybe it does instant classification. Maybe it summarizes documents before sending a smaller extracted prompt to a larger model. Maybe it runs first-pass code search. Maybe it handles routine internal support questions. Maybe it watches logs, cleans text, drafts boilerplate, or routes requests itself. In that world, local AI does not have to be the best model overall. It just has to be the best model for certain jobs, fast, cheap, private, always available. That is where local models can win. And that is why Nvidia pushing open, efficient models and routing infrastructure matters. It creates a more realistic role for local AI inside serious systems. Nvidia sells the hardware that powers a huge amount of AI, so when Nvidia promotes open models and routing, it is not doing charity. It is helping shape the infrastructure layer of AI. If companies use more models, they need more inference infrastructure. If companies route across models, they need tooling. If companies run local and private models, they need hardware. If companies deploy AI across edge devices, servers, workstations, and data centers, Nvidia wants to be part of that stack. The important thing for users is that Nvidia's incentives line up with a broader trend. AI is becoming infrastructure, not just a website, not just a chatbot. Infrastructure needs routing, monitoring, cost control, deployment options, and security boundaries. That is a much more mature stage of the market. Nvidia's Nemotron 3.5 Lightning is interesting because it is another compact open model from a major AI player, but NeMo Switchyard may be the bigger idea because it points toward a future where AI systems do not rely on one model for everything. They route, they choose, they optimize, they balance cost, speed, privacy, and quality. And in that world, smaller open models become much more valuable, local AI becomes much more practical. And the smartest AI workflow may not be the one with the biggest model. It may be the one that knows when the biggest model is completely unnecessary. That is a shift. AI is moving from which model is best to which model is best for this task right now under these constraints. And once you start thinking that way, the whole AI market looks different because the future of AI may not be one giant brain in the cloud. It may be a network of models with the right intelligence routed to the right place at the right time.